our relationship is forever damaged by this trip. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Disney with the Ducks for episode 128. The Krull family trip to Disney. Before we get into that, though, we're joined by John.
Hey, everybody.
And Jody.
Hi, friends.
And of course, me, Gene. And we're going to get into John's trip. But before that, we're going to talk a little bit. You know, we always like to do some get to know you stuff. Oh, but before that, I don't want to forget, we need your feedback. Well, we need your reviews. We need 5-star reviews. If you have any complaints, you can send those directly to Lonnie. He's not on the show, but he wants those complaints. But he is on the show. We're also joined by Lonnie. If you have any complaints, please address those to Lonnie. But 5-star reviews is what we're after. We'd love to hear your suggestions, your feedback, all of that stuff. Go ahead, Lonnie.
I heard a disturbance in the force. I heard my name being mentioned, so I said, let me pop on to keep Gene honest.
Thank you. You know how much I appreciate that. So our get to know you question today. We all travel when we go to Disney. Some of us travel for work. And so I'm just curious, you guys, when you travel, what is something that you have forgotten you realize you left at home? Jody?
I have a go kit. So with all my toiletries and stuff, for the most part, I don't forget that stuff. My daughter has forgotten socks one time on an entire trip. That was fun. What have I forgotten? It's normally something with like running. I'll have part of it. You know, as a woman, we need a couple of extra things too. I'll grab the shirt, but I'll forget the shorts or something like that. So that's typical because those clothes are in a different area of my bedroom. So they, like when I'm packing for a trip, those aren't part of my normal, packing. So yeah, the running stuff, I really have to think that one through and make sure that I have all the parts of all the pieces of that part because I've forgotten some of them before.
Yeah, that's understandable. Lonnie?
So I've forgotten socks before, which is challenging. But I've also forgotten my AirPods, which is even worse, right? Because knowing I would have calls or something to take, and I don't have those to take the calls on, can't work out because, of course, I don't have no music. So that's been the thing that's kind of messed me up the most. So forgetting my AirPods, that'll do it.
That's a rough one. And if you try and buy AirPods in the airport, they're usually marked up quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
And
so,
yeah.
My daughter and I left Tuesday for our trip, and she left. She had one AirPod in her ear, and her AirPod container with the other AirPod in Tim's car. He dropped us off at the airport, so she had one, but not the charger and not the other one. And she was like, "I only have one of my AirPods." I'm like, "Oh, sorry about your luck, because I'm not gonna be there." So
Jody shows no mercy.
no, I was like, "That's your problem."
Another one.
That's my thing when traveling. I'm like, you know what? No matter what I forget, I can buy it wherever I'm going.
For the most part, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't stress too much about it, but I'm a notorious overpacker. I usually bring like 6 pairs of shoes because I want my running shoes. I want my non-running tennis shoes to be able to like walk around wherever I'm at. I usually need some type of like work shoes. I like to have my sandals with me because I usually wear my sandals to the airport. I'm
Your
like the kind of guy
mandals?
that, yeah, my mandals. I go to the airport in shorts and like a golf shirt and my Birkenstocks. Like that's how I always travel. And I just figure I'm going to change when I get wherever I'm going. So on one trip, I had to go right from the airport to a meeting, and I had to show up in Birkenstocks because I forgot my shoes. And then after the first meeting, we were able to find a store to get shoes. But I'm like panicking in the airport, already past like where all the stores are because I'm in the luggage claim bathroom, changing my clothes. I'm like, I don't have any other shoes with me. So, that was about a decade ago, but that was a fun experience. And then having to track down a mall to get shoes for the rest of the week was nice. But yeah, I think that's really the only time I've forgotten anything because I pack like half my house when I travel. You know, yeah, because it's like I want my golf shirts, but I also want my t-shirts. But then I can't wear all cotton t-shirts because if it's hot out, I want like the poly, the the tech material. And then shorts wise, I have my shorts like my going out shorts. But then I also have sleeping shorts and I have workout shorts, and they're all different. So people are gonna think I'm really high maintenance after listening to this.
It sure
And
does
they're
sound like
probably
it.
right. They're probably
Come on,
right.
John. Let's be honest. People knew you were high maintenance before this. This is just reinforcing what they already
That's
knew.
true. That's true.
There's so much that each of you have said that's that just rings true for me. I travel a lot for work, and if you know me at all, you can't imagine that I've only forgotten something once. I mean, I forget stuff all the time. I've often forgot underwear, not in a while. I forgot my toothbrush one day last week, and thankfully hotels, often have toothbrushes. By the way, the toothbrush was invented in Arkansas, because if it was invented anywhere else, it'd be called a toothbrush. But anyway, I digress. I have forgotten, you said, John, that luckily you can normally get whatever you need. I went to Jamaica one time and I had flip-flops, that a couple of pairs of flip-flops, one for the beach and one to wear like to dinner or whatever, if you're going somewhere really casual. Put those in a suitcase and then decided to pack in another suitcase and forgot that I'd slipped them in the little pocket. And so got to Jamaica without any flip-flops. I did that like 20 years ago. I did it just recently when I went to Florida a couple months ago for a long weekend. Forgot my flip-flops. No big deal. I'm in Florida. I can get flip-flops. But when we went to China back in 2009, we did not pack any shoes for my son. He was wearing Crocs with fur on them, and we packed everything. We were getting a baby. We had to bring so much stuff, things we had to bring clothes in different sizes because we weren't really sure how big she was. We get to China, and one of the first things we did was climb the Great Wall. So my kid is in fur-lined Crocs climbing the Great Wall. We ended up getting some tennis shoes, but we had kind of a hard time finding kind of what we're kind of used to. So luckily, go ahead, Jody.
I was gonna say my funniest thing that I've ever forgotten on a trip is we rented a lake house with our friends, and I forgot a bathing suit, so I had to go to like Walmart and buy. What's that? Or maybe even like a Walgreens or something. It was whatever, and it was the end of the season, so they hardly had anything. This thing had a belt, like a Texas, belt on
Big
it.
wide one.
Like a wrestling belt?
Like a wrestling belt, right?
But I'm telling you guys, it was and luckily they had a suit in my size, and it's the only one that I could buy because it was the only thing there. So that was pretty comical. Like, who goes to rent a lake house and forgets a bathing suit and then ends up wearing the, incredibly interesting bathing suit that I purchased in that area of Tennessee.
So Jody, while you were at the lake house, anybody walked up to you and wanted to challenge you for that belt?
Yes, everyone. They were like, "Look at her, she's wearing the belt." So,
speaking of belts, that is another. I have lots of brown belts and I have lots of black belts because, and not like jujitsu, black belts, because I forget belts too, or I have over the years. Just get out of town somewhere, put my clothes on and realize that no belt, and so I have to go to, somewhere. Walmart or somewhere and just grab a belt. But what's
great though? The new men's fashion, none of the pants have belts anymore. Like the Lululemon pants and stuff and the Vuori one, they're all stretchy. So yeah. I'm a big fan of those. That's what I wear to work now. So I don't even have to deal with belts. It's amazing.
You're very good at Thanksgiving dinner too.
Yeah, because they stretch, and then as a bigger fella, the belt, it kind of pushes up into your giant belly sometimes when you're sitting. So I think fashion is moving in the right direction. Sorry, Gene.
That's all right. I don't have any of those pants yet, but that's good to know. I appreciate it.
It's nice. Yeah.
Great topic though. Just made me, feel even more inferior because I forget stuff all the time. But it's okay. It's okay. Moving on though. Hey, we want to hear more about John's recent trip with his family, and tell us a little bit about what you did, and we'll just get into it, John.
First of all, did you forget anything?
Oh, there you go.
No, we didn't forget anything. We packed a ton because we were driving. So this portion of the trip, our Disney portion, was part of a larger, like 2 week long vacation we were taking. Where the second half, we were going on a cruise for a week. So, it started as we had to be at the port Saturday morning. So I was like, well, we're going to drive down. We'll head down a day or two early and go to Disney. And that turned into, okay, we're leaving on Monday and we're getting there Tuesday night so we can spend Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at Disney and then leave for the cruise Saturday. So the trip evolved quite a bit. But we ended up, so we ended up getting to Disney. We left our house Monday after work. So I had the week of 4th of July off, came back, worked Monday, and left around 2 p.m. We drove until about 1 in the morning and stopped for the night, found a hotel and all that, and then ended up getting into Disney around 6:30 the next afternoon, like early evening. So it worked out perfect. We were staying at Old Key West, and our room was ready when we got there. And we were able to find a reservation at Olivia's. So we had never stayed at Old Key West before. I was really nervous about the size of it, especially with 5 little kids, right? And if we're going to go to the pool, how far am I going to have to walk? We lucked out and we were like 1 building away from the hospitality house. So to me, it was perfect location. And the resort is just beautiful. And we had a view of a golf course hole. And it was perfect. We got a 1-bedroom unit that we all fit in, and it was great. So it was me and the 5 kids, and it was fun. We had a good drive down. It wasn't bad. We listened to a lot of Taylor Swift. A lot of Taylor Swift, which is great. I mean, I'm a Swiftie. Obviously, I have 3 little girls. But you can only hear Paper Rings so many times, because every time you push that button for Siri to play music, Crosby from the back seat just screams out, "I want Paper Rings," until you play Paper Rings. And then when it's over, he wants it again. So, but it was fun.
Yeah. Well, that's impressive. So you made it down there 6:30. So you got there 6:30 on Tuesday night. Old Key West, and you started off, you said, with a dinner at Olivia's.
Yeah, so
I've never been there before.
It was good.
Go
ahead. The what?
Gene, have you been to Olivia's?
What do you think?
Oh, I'm gonna ask.
Well, we should probably ask Lonnie if Gene's been to Olivia's.
Lonnie,
that's right.
Gene has not been to Olivia's.
Lonnie, have you been to Olivia's?
I have not.
I haven't either. So, John, you're now our resident expert on Olivia's. So tell us all about it and what you thought.
It was good. It was a very laid back vibe, which I liked. I had the prime rib and shrimp cocktail. Honestly, the cocktail sauce kind of wasn't great, but the shrimp was good, and then the prime rib was good. So overall, the kids enjoyed their meals. They got chicken tenders and fries for every meal. Kara got a salad. So, they didn't get the most interesting things, but Caleb and I both got the prime rib and liked it a lot. So that was good. They have a really cool gift shop there too. They actually had a lot of unique Old Key West merchandise, which was really neat. So that was fun to see. Of course, they didn't have anything in my size, because extra large and double X's apparently are like fly off the shelves. But if you're a very tiny man, like if you're small, they had everything you could want in an Old Key West logo. It was nice. So that night we pretty much just went to dinner, went back to the room, and just kind of hung out, unpacked, and just relaxed after a long day in the car. So that was fun. We didn't do a ton. We did go to the arcade that night. So if you've ever been to the arcade at like Wilderness Lodge, right? It's large. It's got a lot of machines. The arcade at Old Key West was, and I'm not saying this to this isn't hyperbole or anything. It was smaller than like a walk-in closet. I mean, it literally had like 3 machines on one side, one at the back, and then one over here. And with my 5 kids in there, we couldn't even really move around much. So that was a little bit disappointing, but there was so much else to do there. We went to the pool that night too, and that was really fun. They had a cool slide, and the kids were pumped because the slide had a hidden Mickey on it where it came out. So that was really neat.
But wait, hang on. What games did they have at this arcade?
It was like Pac-Man. They did have one. It was like a newer version of Galaga that I'd never played before, and I love Galaga, so that was super fun to me. but it was just there wasn't enough space for the kid. Like it didn't have air hockey or anything like that,
Mhm.
which is a bummer because our family gets very, very competitive and we love playing things like air hockey or bubble hockey or anything like that. Those kind of arcade games. A skee ball would have been nice, just so I could tell my kids how much better than I am at rolling the ball down that 5-foot lane.
Yeah, but that's a good point you made, John. That most of, if not all of the actual resorts have an arcade. I mean, I know this one is smaller than other ones, though. I know Pop has a really nice, big size one. But I guess since we think of Old Key West being the first Disney DVC, that maybe arcades weren't the big thing back then. So it's cool that at least they're trying to do something. Maybe in the upgrade they can do that
Yeah.
A little down the line. But at least you had a good opportunity to kind of hang out with the kids and do a little things.
Yeah, and it was fun. I mean, right next to the pool, like the main pool there behind the hospitality house, they have like a small little bar that's kind of open air, like it, like some of those restaurants you go to with like a garage door type thing. It was almost like that, where a nook set back, the gurgling suitcase, and they had some pretty good drinks there and stuff. The bartenders were super nice. Next to it though was the only quick service on property on that property, and it was just a walk-up counter, so that was a little disappointing. And to be honest, the arcade thing it didn't really bother me too much. I mean, I don't want to spend my time at Disney in an arcade, but I do like quick service for breakfast and things like that, but I don't like walking up to a counter to get it, and I don't know why. I prefer like the Roaring Fork or something over at Wilderness Lodge, or Captain Cook's over at the Poly, something like that. It makes me feel more like I'm in a restaurant rather than just some counter that you're walking up to. So that was, it didn't really bother us too much, though, to be honest. It was just at night, there was nowhere to get food.
That's a big one, because at night, when you don't have an opportunity to grab something, a late night snack or something, that can really make you hangry.
Yeah, and that was my son Caleb's problem, because we didn't stop and get groceries either this trip, because usually we do, but we were planning on kind of being gone during the day when we were there, so we just figured like we're not going to buy a bunch of stuff and have it sit in the fridge, because we don't want to sit in the room and eat a bunch of meals, because we were really only there for 3 days. It was a 4-night stay, but the first night, like I said, we got there late, and then the last day we were leaving early in the morning to catch our cruise. So we did have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday there, it worked out perfect. So interestingly enough, when I was looking for tickets, I was looking for a 2-day pass. And I looked at it with the park hopper and without, without the park hopper, it actually ended up being around $1,600, $1,632.91 actually. But a 3-day, 3-park, no Animal Kingdom pass was $1,421. So we actually saved over $200 by getting a 3-day pass that went to every park except Magic Kingdom, and we just didn't use the Animal Kingdom portion. So we went to Epcot and Hollywood Studios, and our plan was, with the 5 kids, I'm like, it's so hard with Crosby and all his stroller and everything else to park hop. So I'm like, all right, we're only going to those 2 parks and we're going to be there all day. So I don't really need the park hopper. And typically when I do get the park hopper, I take full advantage of it. And then my kids are angry and tired and, because I'm like, all right, we got to go. So instead, we only did like a little bit more than a half day in each park, which worked out perfect.
That's a very good hot take right there, right? Instead of just saying, look and see some of the specials they have, because Disney always has specials on tickets. And even though you didn't need those extra dates, you're able to save $200 or over $200 by getting more days than the tickets you had. And that's, Disney is crazy, but the tickets go down as you add days to them, right? A 1-day ticket compared to a 2-day compared to a 3. If you don't need it, you don't need it, but still take advantage of that if you can.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I would have never noticed that if I wasn't just messing around on the website and just kind of looking at different things. So yeah, look for those options, because there could be something that might not seem like it would fit your family, but it does. Like in this case, we knew we didn't want to go to Magic Kingdom. It's just too hectic for this trip, and we wanted it to be more kind of relaxed, a relaxed kind of vibe throughout the trip. So that's what we ended up doing, and I figured, I kept nudging the kids like, well, maybe we could just go to Animal Kingdom later that night and just catch the end of the night after we drop our stuff off. And, they weren't having it, but still, I tried.
Crowds are like, no.
Yeah. So So yeah, so that was our first day was pretty cool. Like I said, we got dinner, dropped off our stuff, unpacked, just went for a swim in the pool.
And how's the
Kara,
pool
dude, it was actually awesome. It's a pretty good size. It's nothing like the lava pool or anything at Poly, but it was definitely enough for my family to have fun. The kids were able to go on the slide as much as they wanted, and I could just sit at the kind of the end and watch them. The I didn't find the play area for Crosby, so but I'm sure they have one, and I just didn't go. They have a bunch of pools right in that resort because it's so big, but we just stuck with the one by our room. So no, it was great. We had fun. It's big enough to accommodate, I think, all the people. And there's kind of two different sections with like a smaller area bridging the two. There's one over by where the pool or where the slide is, and then another area over to the other side that's got a little bit less activity just because there's not many kids going on the slide and everything. And you can just swim back and forth between the two. So the girls liked it because they could, go on the slide, and Crosby liked it because he could just swim around with his life jacket on and just kind of have fun. So yeah, we loved the pool there.
awesome.
Yeah. So that was cool. So yeah, so that was our first night. It was good. Wednesday, the second day we were there. So we decided we wanted Wednesday to be our no park day because we had, we knew we were going to be driving for 20 hours over that day and a half before. So I didn't want to, get there. I assumed we were going to get there late Wednesday, which we got there earlier than we planned. But I didn't want to get there late and then wake up early and be like, all right, let's get out the door. We got to go. So we took Wednesday, slept in a little bit. I don't think we got up until like 7:30 or 8 o'clock. Which was really nice, especially after being in the car so long. We went to breakfast at Ohana, and then we went off to Disney Springs. So I think, what did we get, 9 o'clock at Ohana? And I think we were to the Springs by like 11. So that was really cool because my kids love Lilo and Stitch. So Ohana was where we really, like, that was the one thing we really had to do this trip, because Carly and Chelsea are at the age where, they're 8 and 5 and they just love Lilo and Stitch. Like we named 2 of our cats after Lilo and Stitch. So it's one of our family's favorite movies. So that was super cool because they come out and meet you, but then you also get to see Mickey in his Hawaiian gear, which is really cool. And then who was the other one? I think Pluto was the other one that came through. So it was a really fun experience getting to see the characters there.
And now is Ohana breakfast, is that the family platter that they bring to your table?
Yep. Yeah. So it's got like eggs, ham, like a nice pineapple chutney salsa thing, Mickey waffles and Stitch waffles. So it was good. I mean, to be honest, if it wasn't for the characters, I don't think it's worth the cost. But what you're paying for there is to meet some characters that you don't get to see other places.
Right.
And you get to go to the Polynesian, which is really cool. So, any chance I can go to the Poly, I love it. So
Jody, if there's any, I mean, obviously we've all learned from The Rock that if you get something about the bull and you get the horns. But we also learned that Ohana means family, so of course it's family style.
Yeah, it's true. It does mean family, and my family had an awesome time. Like we'd gone to the breakfast before, and I never really liked the food. I always thought the eggs were like runny and whatever. But this time, all the food was awesome. The service was great. It was just a really good experience. We had some issues in the past year or two with them kind of pushing you out the door and that type of thing. And they didn't at all this trip, or on that meal anyway at Ohana. And it was awesome.
They were able to give you gluten-free waffles and all that good stuff?
Yeah, they do a really good job with that. They even had a plant-based sausage that Kara could have, because she doesn't eat meat either, and she doesn't eat gluten or dairy. So she's got allergies to gluten and dairy, and then doesn't eat meat. So there's not a whole lot left that you can eat for her. So no, they do a great job of accommodating all the food allergies. They have the chef come out and talk to you, and if you don't like the options that they have, they're more than willing to work with you and try to find something else that they can either whip up for you or bring you out.
It's been a while since we've had breakfast there, but we don't really love ham, and so I asked if they could bring us bacon, and they brought us a whole plate of bacon too. So
Yeah.
which was really nice.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's awesome. They do a really good job of that, keeping people happy and everything. So
Did the kids get up and do the little parade?
they didn't do it anymore.
Oh,
Yeah, so I don't know if that was a COVID thing, but I thought last time we were there a couple years ago, last March, I thought they did it, but I can't remember. But yeah, so the characters did it, but they didn't have the kids where they used to have like the little sweepy things or whatever.
Mhm.
They sweep the coconut. Yeah, no, so it was a bummer.
oh.
But you know, that was the only thing that wasn't awesome about the breakfast, to be honest. But then we drove our car down there. I didn't want to deal with the buses at Old Key West. So we were planning on driving most places, but I really wanted to take the ferry to Disney Springs because I just love the Sassagoula River and taking the boat and everything. So we get down to the boat dock and it's closed. It's not open yet because we wanted to get there like right at 11 when they opened up. So we ended up having to drive, or no, I'm sorry. We ended up taking the bus because we were already out of the car and everything, didn't have anything packed up. So we went over to the bus. The bus showed up right away, but the internal bus loop took forever. I mean, it took us almost an hour to get to Disney Springs, and all we did was stop at all the internal stops. I can't remember if there was 4 or 5 or something, but by the time you stop, all the people get on, everything else. So the rest of the trip, we didn't take the bus at all. We were lucky we got the ferry back to the resort later. That day when we came back. So that worked out good. So yeah, but I mean, for that being the thing that goes wrong, I couldn't complain at all, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like we learned we got to see the rest of the resort and just how huge it was. So that it actually worked out pretty good.
And what did you guys do at Disney Springs all day?
So we had deluxe burger for lunch because our whole family loves deluxe burger, especially me. But so do the other kids. So we did that. We did a lot of like just shopping and stuff. I mean, Kara, she's a teenage girl. She wanted to go to all the shops and everything they have. Of course, it's a lot of stores that we have here that she goes to on a weekly basis anyway. But still, apparently they're different because they're at Disney Springs.
Right.
But just things like we love like Ron John surf shops. We always try to stop at those more places and just stuff like that. So it was cool. We walked around there for maybe like 3 or 4 hours. And then we took the bus back to, the river ferry thing back to Old Key West, went to the pool for a while, just kind of chilled out in the room. And then we actually went back to Ohana for dinner. So two Ohanas in one day, which is pretty much my dream life.
That's funny. You went backwards.
Yeah. And it was, man, it really, so the service was, I've never complained about the service at Disney to a manager before. And this was the first time I did. It took forever to get anything. He didn't come back to bring like refills of anything, didn't check on us, brought us out the wrong allergy foods. And then, luckily there was another waitress or server at the table a couple over from us, and I was able to flag her down, and she was much more helpful than our server was. So finally, we were trying to pay, and I wanted to get out of there because we wanted to go get Dole Whips and then watch the fireworks. And we had waited so long, and finally a lady that looked like a manager walked by, and I flagged her down, and she was able to get us cashed out and everything. And I was like, look, here's the situation of what's been happening. I'm like, this other lady over here, she's been awesome and helped us. And so, I tried to turn it into like, yeah, we're complaining, but also like, if you guys do something nice for people, she is great, type of thing. So that was nice. And I wasn't expecting anything out of it, but like an hour later, I got a call from her saying, hey, I talked to the server. He understands and he's going to improve. And we put a credit on your room to cover part of the meal. So it's like, all right, well, that's cool. That's great that they did that. Like I said, that's not what I was going for. I wasn't angry or anything about it. I just wanted to make sure they knew, because it was rough. And I mean, if my daughter wouldn't have been paying attention, she would have got extremely sick. Because it even had the allergy flag in it too, and he obviously didn't even check it. So that was rough. So and then just the other issues with it, but at the end of the day, it's Ohana, and it was amazing, and I got my Lapu Lapu. So
John.
Yeah. You give this guy a Lapu Lapu, and he's gonna have a good night. But that was the last thing to go right that night. So we got our Dole Whips and everybody's having fun. But have you ever seen Gremlins?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
so you get them wet after midnight, and it's not pretty. So they're cute and cuddly and all fun until you hit that midnight and they get wet, and that's what happened to my kids. So we
Not
took
your
Kara back.
kids. No
Oh,
way.
well, Kara actually ended up going back to Old Key West because she was like, "Yeah, I don't want to stay for the fireworks. I'm just tired." So we're like, "All right." So we took the monorail around to Magic Kingdom, walked her to the bus, got back on the Magic Kingdom, and came back to Polly. Got there in time to catch the fireworks, but by that point, like Carly, Chelsea, and Crosby were all melting down, and it was the worst fireworks experience ever. Like I had to leave because I felt everybody around us. It was like the first 3 minutes of the show, they're just screaming. So like, oh, okay, we got to go to the back. So we kind of went back up closer to the building. I tried to watch it, but Crosby's screaming in my ear. So
Oh God.
again, I try to do too much, and I'm trying to learn from that. But so we ended up going. We had our car there, so we just drove back to Old Key West. But I didn't want to drive Kara back earlier because I didn't know if I could get back into the Poly parking lot because we got in initially because we had the reservation, right?
I understand. Yep.
Yeah. So
And you park at the TTC. That's disastrous.
right, yeah. So we headed back to the room and it was fine. Like Caleb and I stayed up and played cards for a little bit and that kind of thing. The girls all went to bed and then that was our Wednesday.
Your relaxing day. That was your relaxing day.
Yeah, that was the relaxing day. Yeah, being at Disney
Way to
Springs.
relax. Way to
Yeah.
relax.
Well, I'm not much for relaxing. Like I get after about 3 minutes, I get antsy and I'm like, all right, we got it. Let's do something. Which I'm trying to get better at. And I think I am a little bit. But so that was our kind of chill day to relax and refresh. Then Thursday morning, we woke up early. We were going to Epcot. That was our plan was to get to Epcot. It wasn't very busy anywhere. And we noticed that Tuesday night, even when we got there, like there didn't seem to be a ton of people in the restaurants or in the pool or anything. And then Wednesday at Disney Springs, it wasn't bad. And even at the Poly, usually there's a ton of people there and there really wasn't. So we probably didn't need to get Genie Plus, but with 5 little kids, I didn't want to risk, for what was it, $20 a per. So, I mean, it was, $100 basically, but to me, it was well worth it to not have to miss stuff we wanted to do if there happened to be crowds. So I mean,
one of the last run throughs of Genie Plus,
because they started the new thing.
The next trip report, we're not going to be talking about Genie Plus anymore because it will be a distant memory.
Because does it start like this week, right? Something like that, the 24th,
the Wednesday
or last week. Okay, it was definitely after we left. But yeah, so we did take advantage of it. I mean, so it was pouring rain in the morning when we got up. So we ended up not leaving to get to Epcot until about 9:45, and we ended up driving. So finally, the rain slowed down a little bit, and we're like, all right, let's just get our ponchos on and go. So we got out of the car, got the ponchos on and everything, and by the time we walked to the entrance, and it had stopped raining. So it was perfect. And there was nobody in the park because it had been pouring for the last 2 hours. So it worked out perfect. We got on the Seas right away, and then we went to Figment because Carly was, me and Carly love Figment. So we were like, I don't care what happens.
Loved Carly's reaction when she saw. So John had shared some photos with some of us, and Carly, who is the 3rd child in line.
Yeah, she's the 3rd one. She's my 8-year-old.
Her reaction and her smile and her face is just, it's just precious. It's what you envision when you take your kids to Disney is her reaction. It was just so cute.
Yeah, and she was like, she had been looking forward to that since we first started talking about this trip, and especially after I came back from Springtime Surprise Weekend where I told her I had met Figment. So yeah, but so we get off the ride and we go in line to meet Figment, and they had just closed it and said, "Oh, well, Figment's going for a break for a half hour, but Figment will be back at whatever time, 11." So we're like, all right. So we went and did some other stuff. We wanted to do like the Seas and the land. We ended up doing Grand Fiesta Tour, which worked out perfect because Crosby has been really, actually, all my kids have been really into Three Caballeros, but there's like a
Oh.
newer cartoon from like 2018 or 2019, The Legend of the Three Caballeros. And so that was awesome because we did that ride and the kids just went nuts. Like they loved it.
Oh,
They
I
were giggling and singing along. It was so fun. And then like we were walking around, we ran into Sarah. So our friend, the friend of the show, Sarah, who I also got to hang out with at Springtime Surprise Weekend, she was there with her mom, and we were just
That's
walking
cool.
down that walkway from like I forget what it's called now, but Future World to World Showcase, and I'm looking down at my phone. I'm probably yelling at my kids, and I look up and there's Sarah right there. So it was completely unplanned. I missed a text from her that they were going to be at Epcot because just hectic getting the kids out the door and stuff. So yeah, so that was cool. So we talked to them for a little bit. Yeah, it was fun. So that was awesome. And then after that we went over. We had a lightning lane for Frozen, and then we did Soarin'. So those were really fun because Frozen is like one of those rides that's just special to our family. My late wife Katie, like she loved that ride. That she wasn't into rides or anything, but that was the one we had to do every trip. So the kids love that one. So that was cool getting to do that. And then we went to Soarin', and it was me, Caleb, Carly, and Chelsea. And Chelsea the entire time was freaking out. She was not a fan.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
She had to keep her eyes closed. it was I laugh, but she was like legit scared.
Oh my gosh.
Should have taken her on space.
Yeah, Mission Space, and
Mhm.
no. So that was a little rough. But then I got an individual lightning lane for Guardians, which it was just me, which was awesome. So I like doing the individual lightning lane for that better than the virtual queue one because then you don't have to wait as long.
Yeah.
You pretty much get right on, right? So you go to the pre-show and then you get on the ride. And I forget
song?
what it was. It like a Gloria Stefan song or something? It was like
Conga?
yeah.
Yeah,
And I did not like it.
that's my favorite one.
Yeah, so that was that. I mean, but that ride is so amazing. They could play. I don't even. I like most music. They could play something I don't like, and I would still love it. Like the ride is so good. But I could. I mean, I know Kevin's talked about it. There's no way I could do that ride more than once. I mean, it's one of my favorites, but like that's my limit. One time. So that was fun though, because I did that, and then like Kara took the little kids to get ice cream and stuff while I was doing that. So they got Mickey bars, and then they hung out in that Connections Cafe area or hall. They have that hall there that's air conditioned, and there's tables. So they hung out in there with some ice cream, and then we went to Club Cool, which was fun because apparently all my kids forgot about the Beverly. So. I was like, you guys, we got to try this one. This is the best. Do you guys remember this? And they're all like, no. I'm like, oh man. So I filled up my cup and I drank it, and I like just stayed like normal. I was like, oh yeah, that's the best. Inside, I'm like, ah. But I had to do it to get them to try it.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, John, you are rotten.
It's the best. Like, I wish I would have had somebody take a video of them while they were doing it. But I knew if I got my camera out, that would signal to them that something funky is going to happen, right? So I didn't want that. But yeah, it was it was amazing, their reactions, because they're all like, ah. That was fun. And I mean, what's the point of being a parent if you're not going to mess with your kids once in a while, right? I mean, come on. Yeah. So then we walked through some of the countries and stuff. It was like by midday, it was so hot. Like, I mean, this is Florida in July, right? So it was 90 something, 95 and humid. So it was a little bit rough, and the kids were kind of tired. So we walked around the countries a little bit. They were just getting to the point where it wasn't going to be fun. So we had a dinner reservation for Teppanyaki, which is one of our family's favorites. It's the hibachi place in Japan. So we ended up going up there, and I asked them about 20 minutes before they were open. They supposedly open at 4. I went up there at 3:45 and just asked, hey, do you guys have anything earlier? Our reservation was for like 5:15 or something. and they said, "Oh yeah, we can seat you right now if you're all here." So it worked out perfect. So
Good.
the kids were downstairs. I went and got them. They got us seated. We had a great time with dinner. Our chef was awesome. He was so like fun and interactive. Just flipping things around and made little Mickeys for the kids out of oil. And, then the onion volcano thing is always a hit.
Did you catch a shrimp in your mouth?
No, he didn't do that this time.
No,
I was
didn't
kind
do
of bummed. Yeah. I didn't get fed by any servers this trip,
it. Wow.
which I don't know if anybody remembers, but on Springtime Surprise, I got fed by a server at 50's Primetime Cafe because I didn't eat all my veggies. So he grabbed my fork, and I don't know if it was like a game of chicken to see who was going to stop, but he kept coming. So I just went and ate it. But that was it. It was just, it's such a good, fun restaurant, and the food is good too. But this time, I don't know what got into me, but I got the lobster tail you can add on, and it was one of the best lobster tails I've ever had.
Wow.
It was so good. Like, it was super flavorful. It was cooked like perfectly. It was amazing.
That's
so
good.
Yeah. So that was really cool.
And if you're going to do an add-on that's going to be extra money and at a high price tag, you want it to be good. So
yeah. And I mean, to be honest, like, it's a lot, but it wasn't any more than I'd pay for a lobster tail like around my house, right? So I didn't think it was crazy. But I mean, I wouldn't do it every time I go, but it was definitely like, it was worth it. It really hit the spot. So that was cool. So yeah, so then after that, we left there and we got back to our room, I don't know, by 6:00 that night, and we just kind of chilled, and we did the pool again for a while. And I got a couple of drinks from the gurgling suitcase. My kids got another like kind of round of food right before the quick service place closed that night. And yeah, then we just kind of hung out in our room and played cards and stuff.
Good.
So it was a fun night.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was trying to talk the kids into going to Disney Springs for the drone show, and just
Like,
none
no,
of them were
Dad, no.
Yeah. Like, we cannot do anymore. Like, this is backwards, but whatever.
Please make it stop, Dad.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, whatever. All right.
No
So then
more fun.
Yeah. So then we go to sleep, like boring people do, at a reasonable hour. I mean, who does that at Disney?
I know, right?
So then, Friday we had, we were going to Hollywood Studios, and since we were staying on site, we had the early entry. So we drove again, which worked out great on the way there. It's a little rough on the way back, but that's just because kids are tired and everything else. So we did rope drop, and we ran right to Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railway. Because even though we had Genie Plus and stuff, that and the Disney Junior Dance Party were the two like must-do things for me there. The kids really wanted to do like Slinky Dog and stuff too, but Crosby wasn't old enough to really understand it all before, and now he loves Mickey. So I'm like, he has to do those two things. So we did Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railway, and he went nuts. Like, he loved it. Even Kara and Caleb, they're older, but they had fun on it too. So everybody just enjoyed it. It was super cute. And Gene, I don't know how, but it didn't break down. Maybe because
I
we're
don't
the first
know.
ones
I
of the
don't know.
day.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Maybe
we're
because
so
you're
early.
first. Maybe so.
But yeah, it didn't break down. So it was awesome because we were there before park open. So I think we waited in line 15 minutes total. It wasn't bad at all. And then we went over to Alien Swirling Saucers. So we got that in before the park opened too. And that was fun too, because like the little kids like it, right? It's a cute little ride. And then Kara wanted to go on Rock and Roller Coaster. So she did the single rider line. She waited an hour.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, I kept texting. I thought something was wrong because I couldn't I don't know. But yeah, I kept texting her like, hey, are you okay? Is everything good? She's like, yeah, I'm still in line. So we met this family from England that we ended up talking to for, I don't know, 45 minutes of the hour we were waiting. And it was just cool. Like, I don't know. We were just talking about, they were going on a cruise somewhere too. And it was just fun. So that was nice because their daughter had this bubble machine. And because of that, I had to buy Crosby a bubble machine. But it worked the whole day. And the good thing with those bubble machines, I didn't know this, but the dad told me you can buy refills of the bubbles for like $1.50 with your DVC discount. So, little tip, you may be paying $25 for the machine, but you'll get those bubbles for cheap.
There you go.
So that's nice. So that was fun. And then after that, we went over to Toy Story Mania because we had a lightning lane. And of course, the boys beat the girls. You know, me and Caleb crushed Carly, Chelsea, and Kara. Me, Caleb, and Crosby. Crosby probably scored most of our points. He did pull the little thing a couple times, so that was cute. But yeah, so that was good. And Kara was super upset with us. I don't know. When you play board games with our family, it always results in like yelling and usually the throwing of the board, and like everybody is ultra competitive. So she was stuck with the two little girls who didn't really get it. So it was great for Caleb and I. So we had bragging rights the rest of the day, which was awesome. Yeah, I know. Sorry, Kara. Okay, so but for lunch that day, this was really cool. We went to Ronto Roasters, and they used to have where you could get the Ronto wrap if you had gluten-free. If you need to eat gluten-free, you just got it without the wrap. Now they have a gluten-free pita that they wrap it in, and that made a world of difference. It was so good, and that was the first time I'd ever had it with that because I think that's fairly new. So that was awesome because it was so delicious. So that's what we got for lunch. We got the blue milk. You know, you spend $3,000 on blue milk for each of the kids, and all of them, even though they've had it before and loved it, we're all like, "Ew, we don't like this." Wonderful. So I drank like 4 or 5 blue milks because I'm not throwing those away.
Yeah.
So I had mine. So yeah. So I mean, I liked it, but by the last one, I was kind of like,
Ugh,
a lot. Yeah. But man, Galaxy's Edge is just so awesome. God, just walking around, the interactions from the stormtroopers and stuff. It was super cool. So then we were over there, so we had a lightning lane for Smuggler's Run. And we got to be Carly and I got to be the pilots, which was super cool. She had fun with that. I asked Caleb if he wanted to, and he said no, he just wanted to be the gunner. He just wanted to sit there and push a button, which is fine. Yeah. But I didn't realize in the past, I don't know why it never hit me before. I got such motion sickness. So Smuggler's Run, I never had this before, but I got motion sickness so bad. I actually thought I was going to throw up during the ride itself. So I don't know why. I've rode that thing.
Maybe be the 5 blue milks that you drink.
Dude, it could be.
The last time I had a Ronto wrap, and I don't know that I'll ever have one again. I started feeling sick, but I denied all day long. Like, I'm not feeling sick. I'm not sick. Yeah. I'm not sick. And later that night I was, but it could be a combination. It could be.
Dude, it was bad. So that was rough because I got off of that. But then I felt better about a half hour later. So I mean, it was all right. So then after that, though, we got a lightning lane for Alien Swirling Saucers because the kids wanted to do that one again. So that was cool. And then we kind of just were like, we've done most of the things we wanted to do. We did end up on Disney Junior Dance Party, which
nice.
Honestly, it is one of my favorite things at Disney. It probably wouldn't be if I didn't have the kids with me. But having like Crosby and then even Carly and Chelsea got super into it. They were dancing when like Vampirina was out there, and they haven't watched Vampirina in a couple of years. So she's out there. They're going nuts. Mickey comes out at the end, and Crosby is just like rocking out, dancing. It made the whole trip worth it just to see that. It's such a fun, like, if you have little kids, honestly, I think that's like one of the things you really have to do, especially if they're into those characters, because they do a really good job with it. It's quick, it's air conditioned. I mean, it's like 10 minutes and it's in air conditioning. So shoot, that's a great way to take
Can't beat that.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Yeah. So then we went over, we met Olaf. We wanted to do some of the show, like the Frozen Ever After show, or
Frozen sing-along.
Yeah, the Frozen sing-along, but the times just didn't work out, and it was so hot that we wanted to go back to the resort pool because we knew we wanted to come back and check out Fantasmic that night. So we ended up going back to the resort and just chilling in the pool for a while. The cool thing was Donald and Goofy were in the lobby of Old Key West as we were coming out of the pool. So that was really neat. Like, we saw them. Goofy was in the lobby inside, and we went in and like he was talking, not talking, but like high-fiving the kids and giving them hugs and stuff. We got some pictures with them. And then outside, Donald was there, but I think he was on his way out. So they just basically gave like high fives and that kind of thing. So yeah, it was super cool just seeing them at the resort. I love that kind of stuff.
When they're at the resort. Love
Yeah,
it.
it's so neat. Like it's unexpected. It's just out of the blue. It's Disney magic, right? I mean, that's what it is. So we went to the pool for a while, and then we went to Park Fair, 1900 Park Fair for dinner. I didn't want to do this at all. My kids really wanted to because they remember how fun it was when they had the stepsisters there and stuff, right? So now they've changed it. It's Tiana, Mirabelle, Aladdin, and Cinderella. It's a really kind of odd mixture, right? Because before it used to be the stepsisters in the evening for dinner, and breakfast was awesome. It was like Alice in Wonderland with the Mad Hatter and everything. So going into it, I'm like, well, I don't know. It's a buffet and the characters are just random. But it was one of the better experiences I think we've had there. The characters were super interactive. So Chelsea's favorite Disney princess is Tiana. She loves her. Our whole family loves the movie because it's got great music, and we just like the storyline and everything of that. So that was super cool because when Tiana came by, I told her Chelsea was that was her favorite princess, so she gave her kind of like some extra hugs and took some extra pictures with her. And yeah, and we were just talking about I don't know, everything. She was sitting there for probably 45 seconds or so just talking, which was really neat. And then Mirabelle came around, and that's Carly's favorite from Encanto. So she did the same thing with Carly, like let her take a picture on her own and talk to her and stuff. And then when we were leaving, Mirabelle saw Carly, and Carly said bye, and she came over and did like the secret handshake that she taught Carly, and then showed her how to make like a hand butterfly. And she's like, look, if you do this, it'll fly away. And it was so cool. It was just like she ran up to her, did the stuff, and then ran away, just like Mirabelle would in the movie. Yeah,
it's really cute.
It was really cool, and it meant a lot to Carly. The food was excellent. So they had a prime rib carving station there. They had the ham carving station there. I'm not a big ham guy. I tried it. I mean, it wasn't bad or anything, but the prime rib was really good. They still have the strawberry soup, which was amazing. I mean, I basically drank like 4 bowls of that. They had the little kids station where they had nuggets and macaroni and cheese and stuff. But they had a really good little salad area that had like Mediterranean salads and a couple of different salad, like a kale salad. So Kara was in heaven. So it was good because we all had something we really found that we liked. And they had like a salmon too that was really good, especially for a buffet. So overall, I thought it was an excellent meal. And I'm really glad we did it. But one thing to note is they didn't take any DVC discounts or AP discounts or anything.
Oh.
I asked the server, and she's like, no, we're not doing that until next year. So I'm like, okay, that was weird. But so I don't know when they're going to start taking that, but just if anybody listens to this in the near term here, and this is July 2024, they were not taking any discounts at that restaurant.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was the only negative. And to be honest, okay, it's cost a little bit more, but it was still well worth it, I thought. So yeah. Okay, so then we went back to Hollywood Studios and to see Fantasia or Fantasmic.
How did this go, John?
This, like, if you're gonna torture someone, this would be cruel and unusual punishment, even for like North Korea. I would not wish this on my worst enemy. The kids were melting down even before the show started. So it was nice because we got back there and we were able to go on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway again, which was cool. It was awesome. Like, that was fun. We went to some of the shops and stuff. Like, my girls wanted to pick out something for my girlfriend Dee, and so they were able to find her a couple things. Caleb really wanted to find something Darth Maul, so he found a couple of really cool Darth Maul things in one of the shops there. And then we started walking to get into the theater, and we got there about 20 minutes or half hour before it started. We thought there would be seats. There was nothing. We were all the way at the top on like these random bleachers they added in, so we couldn't see. But then I forgot how like that show could be very scary to a little tiny kid, especially two of them who are already overtired and overstimulated. So Carly and Chelsea at the beginning were like, yeah, this is cool, because like Kayla wanted to leave. Chelsea wanted to leave really bad. They were like crying. I'm like, no, we're here. We're going to see this show. And then the show started and they were fine. I'm like, oh, thank God. And then it got to the part with like the villains and everything coming after Mickey, and they lost it. Everyone's screaming. Everyone's crying. I'm like, okay, we got to go. So we left halfway through the
We're
show.
up at the top and off to the sides. You can exit easily.
Yeah. So we just left. And it was, Chelsea's passed out. Crosby obviously was like passed out because it's well past his bedtime. So I'm carrying Chelsea, pushing Crosby in the stroller. And of course, we came back to the park late. So we're parked at the very back.
Ugh.
And it was like, okay, do I get them out of the stroller and carry them and somehow fold up the stroller and take the tram? Or do we just walk? And, so we decided, or I decided it was better to just walk. And by the time we got to the car, my arm was like numb. The kids are still fighting. Like, dude, okay. This is why Kara always tells me I try to do too much with them, and we need to tone it back a little. So yeah, I learned a lesson again that I'll forget by the next trip. But it was I'm glad we went back because the runaway railway experience was still really cool with them doing it a second time. But man, Fantasmic. And the worst part is they have that history of animation or whatever show on the Chinese theater. And we were thinking about doing that. And then the kids are like, no, we really want to see Fantasmic. I'm like, well, okay. We'll do that, which is fine because I wanted to see that instead. But if we would have watched the animation show, it would have been perfect because they would have been into it. They would have loved it. And then we would have left.
That's a good show. I watched it last time. I was pretty surprised how good it
Thanks
was.
for rubbing it in, Jody.
Sorry.
So, but no, I mean, it sounds bad, but it was an awesome day overall. I mean, except for the end there, it was really fun. Old Key West. I don't remember if I said it when we were talking pre-show or after we started recording, but the resort was awesome. Like Kara legitimately, I mean, she turned 15 today. So she's a 15-year-old girl and she thought it was the best resort. Like she's like, I like it as much as I like the Polynesian.
Wow.
Because she, all she wanted to do was lay by the pool and work out. And we didn't have any trouble finding chairs at the pool, and she was able to go to the gym. So, and the food at Olivia's, like I said, was good. We enjoyed it. And the resort itself just looks pretty. So we really like that. We enjoyed walking around. So we want to do like either a very limited park or a no park trip and go there. And she was like, I'll watch the kids while you go golf, or, one morning, or we'll, do stuff like that together. So we're looking forward to spending some more time at that resort. And, one thing to look out for is it's huge. So really look at where you're going to be staying. Yeah. I think it's probably worth the extra points to get the hospitality house area. I would definitely do that again, but the room was huge. I mean, it was a one bedroom, but it felt like the 2-bedroom at Copper Creek that we stayed in last March. It was really big. It gave our family enough space where we could get away from each other a little bit. So it was, I mean, overall, I had very low expectations of it, and it really exceeded them. I mean, if I was going to buy more DVC points, I may even like buy there just because of the cost of it being so low per point to buy, but then also the points to book there being insanely low compared to some of the others, especially, Grand Floridian, Polynesian, those ones. But yeah, I 100% would stay there again.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was cool. It was such a cool resort. But the one thing, and I think Jody, we were talking about this in text. I drive down a lot, and that helps because it's such a big resort, and we can take our car then to the parks or to wherever we're going. So that's just one thing to keep in mind if you're thinking about staying there is build in the extra time for the internal bus loops that you have to go through, and really, put some thought into how you're going to get around place to place. Because, with me, my family, 5 kids, and one of them being in a car seat, it wasn't realistic to take Ubers. But if you're, a couple, or you have a couple older kids, it may be worth it to stay there and just take some Ubers. And honestly, the buses aren't bad if you build in the extra time for it and you just know it's coming. We just didn't do the prep work to understand the bus system there. So other than that, I mean, I loved it, and we'll definitely be staying there again in the
Awesome.
future. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it was a great trip. I mean, overall, I mean, a couple meltdowns, but I mean, I melt down at
Hey.
Disney, so no
Yeah.
surprise. The kids do too.
The meltdowns were intense, but they were infrequent. And they, with that many kids, you're going to have meltdowns, and we just try to,
for sure.
I try to anticipate where they're going to happen. And I never, like I said, I never learned my lesson about making them do too much. So,
and you have such a wide range. You have a wide range of ages, and so you've got meltdowns at different occasions, or all at once, like you said at the the fireworks show. I mean, but it's just going to happen. I think that's just part of being a parent. I mean, I have just two, and we have meltdowns all the time. I mean, it's just the way it is. That's what you deal with. I'm whatever age I am, I've melted down.
Yeah.
On a trip, on a Run Disney trip.
Yep.
So that was our trip, and then after that we headed out on a cruise for a week out of on Royal Caribbean out of Port Canaveral. So we left and went on that Saturday, and that was an awesome second half of the trip. So overall, I think it was one of the best vacations I've ever had in my life.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. I'm glad.
Yeah. So it's super cool.
Super fun.
Yeah. So much family time, especially in the car. Especially in the car after being in two small connecting staterooms for a week and then getting in a tiny car for 20 hours.
Sounds great.
It's amazing.
All right. So I guess, Gene, where does this bring us to now? What are you ready for?
It brings us to my favorite part of the episode, as well as yours, as well as I'm sure. I mean, I've never heard any feedback, but I'm sure our lovely listeners, it's their favorite part too. But quacking up with the ducks, and let's see if we can laugh. I mean, not that we haven't been laughing all through this, but John, you got anything to make us laugh today?
Well, yeah, so I mentioned I went on a cruise with my family. It was our first cruise. One thing that made me nervous was we heard about an incident before we got on the boat. Did you guys hear about the red cruise ship and the blue cruise ship that crashed into each other at sea?
No.
All the survivors were marooned.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I was going with purple, and I couldn't figure out what you were doing with purple. So.
Yeah. Well, maroon's close enough.
It was a violent collision.
Oh boy. Okay.
Jody?
So while I was sitting here, my phone pinged, and there's a breaking news alert, which there's been a lot of lately. And it said this one was about an alert about this guy who took an airline company to court after his luggage went missing, and he lost the case.
That happens.
It happens.
Oh my gosh. You guys, I don't tell jokes. I don't have, but I was thinking, John, you were talking about a cruise. It makes me think, do you know which of the oceans is the most detail oriented?
No, which one?
I'm not sure. It's got to be something Pacific though.
Oh boy.
Fun.
Hey, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks, John, for sharing your trip, man. That was awesome. It sounded like such a great time. Don't forget, dear listeners, 5-star reviews. We covet your feedback. We'd love to hear it. If you have any complaints, send them to Lonnie. That's who needs to hear those. I'm sure they have to do with him anyway. Any last words, my fellow ducks?
Yeah.
Quaharini.
All right. In today's episode, Gene and Jody dove into the chaos and comedy of John's recent Disney World adventure and cruise escapades with his 5 kids aged 2 to 15. As you can imagine, this episode is packed with tales of sibling squabbles, endless snack demands, and epic meltdowns in magical places. Please note that the experiences shared are purely John's and may not reflect your typical Disney or cruise vacation, unless you also enjoy managing a circus on the high seas. Any advice dispensed should be taken with a grain of pixie dust and a large cup of coffee. Listener discretion, as always, is advised for anyone without kids or those who cherish their quiet time. Disney with the Ducks is not responsible for any sudden urges to adopt 5 children, book on impulsive trip to Disney, or engage in a frantic search for lost sanity. If you find yourself laughing uncontrollably or nodding in sympathy, just remember, John's survival is proof that magic and patience really does exist. Enjoy the episode, and may your own vacations be slightly chaotic.
Awesome.
I swimming in the beach. I swimming in the beach. It was great.